listening to Dad Crossing, a podcast about animals and parenting. Today, we guess about what in the heck Nintendo is doing with the future of New Horizons. Can dads actually find time for themselves, for ourselves? And what about that Indie Direct? Also, joining us today, we have Seth, one half of the All In podcast. But first, Sean, bring us in.
Well. Samba time, baby. Bossa and the samba are so close. Most of us don't know the difference. But what I'm going to do today is the samba with the Afro-Cuban. That's right.
Seth, tell me, how are you doing, man? Well, first off, that was a bad intro. I'm sorry. Seth, as I said, is part of the All In podcast. We can't thank you enough for guesting and coming on. We appreciate it. We appreciate whenever we have a guest. You guys have an awesome show over there. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Man, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. It's a total treat and an honor. Like I told you, we had you on my show, Nick. You guys were one of the podcasts that I listened to when quarantine first started to keep myself sane.
That's unfortunate for you. That's
so
awesome.
It was definitely like a nightly kind of ritual. I would catch up on old episodes of Nintendo Dads. Then when a new Dad Crossing came out, I would load that up, and it was coffee, late nights, Animal Crossing. That was the quarantine ritual, man.
That's
so
great.
Huge honor to be with you guys tonight. I guess talk about my show for a sec. All In, we like to call it a weekly segment-based Nintendo variety show. That's the best word that we've come up for it. The best elevator pitch for it is the variety show thing. And what that means is that it's basically each episode is made up of multiple segments that cover like different facets of being a Nintendo fan. So my co-host Eric and I, we talk about the games we've been playing, and we cover the weekly news like any good podcast does, of course. But also, in addition to that, we will spotlight an indie game each week in our indie showcase segment, which is kind of like we'll pick a weekly indie game that's on the Switch eShop, and we'll either discuss that for a while, or sometimes we'll even have the developer of the game on to interview them. We produce a weekly top 5 list. Like last week, we counted down our top 5 dream Nintendo indie collabs. Awesome. And then we also have kind of a revolving main segment where it's either a review, a retrospective, a special guest interview, or something totally different. So that way you've got kind of your like mainstay meat and potatoes segments each week, but you've also got something different to look for as well. And I know that all sounds like a ton of stuff and a huge episode and a lot of work, and that's because it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we try to respect everybody's time. We try to make sure that every segment is time-stamped in the episode description. So we invite folks to kind of come in. You can either jump around, listen to the entire episode as a whole, or listen to, like, if, you know, a Dad Crossing fan wants to pop in and they want to hear Nick's segment, you know, come on and listen to that too. We take all comers. New episodes every Saturday. We've been doing it every week for almost a year now, and we love it, man. So yeah, definitely come on over and check us out.
So can they find you pretty much anywhere that you can find a podcast? Just search the All In podcast. Is that right?
All In, a Nintendo podcast, basically wherever podcasts are distributed. We are at All In Podcast on Facebook and Twitter. Those are our 2 main social media platforms.
Great honor to be on for the year episode or the year anniversary for New Horizons. So I thought that was really cool. So you are a fur dad, is that correct? Is that a fair way to?
This is true. Yeah, I do. I have a dog. I do have a dog. I'm not a father to an actual human baby, but I am father to we call her a baby. She's actually like going to be 8 years old soon. But yeah, she's our baby.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's really cool. So yeah, so it's great to have you on.
Thanks, man.
So tell me a little bit about like what you've been playing.
Yeah, so so this is a weird one. I'll start us off with a weird one here. A game called Tory 3D. I don't know if you guys have heard of this yet. It's a very strange indie game that just recently came out on the Switch eShop. And the way I heard about it was via Rogers Base on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he tweeted out about it, and essentially what it is, it's a like 3D platformer, but it's done up in a like PS1 N64 style. Like it literally looks like it is running on N64 hardware. Like it just has this really kind of like janky look to it in a charming way. Like it kind of feels nostalgic in that way. And it's the big thing. The reason why I was so like down to try it out is because it's only $1. So
yeah, can't beat that, right?
Exactly. At $1, it's like I'm gonna pop in, I'm gonna try it out. So it's real quick. I mean, you can play through it in an hour and a half. Optimistically, there is some reasons to go back and replay it. But it's just a really fun, like quirky little N64 platformer. If you're into that kind of stuff, like I'm a huge fan of that era of video games. I love like Banjo-Kazooie and stuff like that is my big thing. So it's kind of like that. But yeah, I highly recommend at least pop, even if you just have like some gold coins laying around. It's $1, you know, check it out.
Yeah, you can't beat it. Yeah.
Yeah. In addition to that, of course, Animal Crossing, you know, I've played that game every day since it's come out, you know, in some way or another. I know we're going to talk about that, of course.
Yep, for sure.
And then I'm still very hopelessly addicted to Monster Hunter Rise, which I have somehow found like 60 hours to put into it so far. Don't know where.
There's part of me that really wants to get into that. Because one, the Nintendo Dad's Discord was really into it. It's kind of come and gone, I think, for a large part. Not for everybody, obviously, but like the flash in the pan has come and gone. So I probably won't. But there is a part of me that seems like a game I could get into, but I just couldn't bring myself to pull the trigger.
Did you play the
get
demo?
Hopelessly addicted.
Yeah. Did you play the demo at all?
I did. And to be fair, that kind of turned me off. From what people have told me is, just because you don't like the demo in that game doesn't mean you're not going to like the game. Sure. So, and I don't know if that's true. That's just what I've had a couple people tell me.
It is definitely so. Like my co-host on the show, Eric, he played the demo and he was kind of like not feeling it either. But he decided to give it a shot because he had played Monster Hunter before, and he's like, I've never really given it a chance. And he ended up kind of falling in love with it. So it may be one of those things where you have to put in a little bit of legwork and kind of, you know, get to know it a little bit better. The game is not for everybody, though. Yeah. Like, it is definitely not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I really, really like it. And I think Rise is, for my money, the best one they've done yet. And I've been having a blast with that. I know we also, I think you played this too, Nick, the demo for Never Yield.
I did.
Did we want to talk about this now, or do we want to talk about that later?
Why don't we save it for the Indie Direct and we'll talk about it there.
Got it.
Why don't we?
Got it.
Yeah, I know. I put it on there too because, well, really, I just needed something to put on there because I have not been playing a lot lately.
Yeah.
But Sean, I did a horrible job. I owe you an apology. I got really into the conversation and with Seth, and then I just kept going. And then by the time I realized, I was like, what you been playing? And so, Sean, man, how you doing? I'm sorry. I really am.
Sorry,
I'm all right. I'm just being a third wheel of my own podcast.
I know. Cool. I'm really sorry, man. I was like, like, oh crap. Sorry. It's late.
Much love, Sean.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. I'm okay. I'm in, as you were laughing before, I'm in a fair bit of pain. I seem to have lost full use of my left arm, but that's all self-inflicted from the gym yesterday. So, like in the UK, things have just opened back up. So, I've gone back into it thinking I was as fit and strong as I was in January, and I'm really not. So I should have.
You're just so excited to be in a gym. You're like, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep lifting.
I was literally like, what was it called now? Terry Crews was in an American sitcom. Is it My Family, Me? Something like that.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I was literally like, that's yes, gym. And I've woken up this morning and literally just gone, no. I regret that decision, but no, I'm cool. Super busy, work, kids, so on and so forth. So, sure. My list of things I have played is very little.
So, I'm actually with you. So yeah, tell us a little about what you've been playing, man.
So after me and you tried to get on and try and stream a little bit of multiplayer on the Xbox, with moving out, which we hit one big technical hitch that we just couldn't record and couldn't get any game chat audio at all. And then picked a game that didn't.
I was going to say, the real big technical glitch was we can't play Moving Out online. That's a technical glitch we just can't overcome unless we code for them or something.
So yeah, FYI, Moving Out is a couch co-op only for the Xbox. So there's no online multiplayer version. So I gave that a try, and I'm quite glad we didn't get to record that because it's not a game for me at all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I played 20 minutes of it, and then I think if it's only because I was playing it on my own, it seemed like a really slow game to play.
Oh yeah, you were playing by yourself.
Yes. So like moving with larger objects, like
how do you do it?
You can do it, but you kind of just have to drag them everywhere.
Oh no! You need to play it again with like Jaya or something like that. Grab somebody who is okay to play it and play it again. Because that game actually is. So I bought it on the Switch, and Noah loves it, and even worse than this, Ariel loves it. So Seth, just Noah's 6 and Ariel's 4, and when Noah plays it, we can like get stuff done, but. Ariel's found this love for it, even though she's horrible at it. And I just like, I can only take it in small doses because I'm like, just pick up the couch and she'll like pick it up with me on my side. And I'm like, no, Ariel, you got to be on the others. Oh, okay. And she's just so lovable and cute. And I hate being mad at her because she's trying her best. But man, it's really hard not to just be like, just chuck the controller out the window. But so yeah, that game could be frustrating at times, but it is a lot more fun with multiple people. I can't imagine playing it by myself. That sounds
the bit that I did like in the first level that I played. The moving van was literally outside the bedroom window. So rather than lifting all the items, the smaller items, so like she had a video games console that you had to like just turn around and throw it straight through the window.
yeah, it's great. Seth, have you ever played Moving Out?
No, that's the one I was trying to place that. That's the one that's essentially like Overcooked, but for moving, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got kind of freewheeling physics and
ragdoll physics.
Yeah,
right.
And like you can chuck stuff like Sean was saying through windows, and you got to like pack up chickens, and you're packing up like there's no bridge. You got to jump on turtles. It's crazy stuff. You can toss stuff. It's nuts. But it is a fun local co-op game if you got somebody that's into playing.
We love Overcooked, so I might have to check it out.
Yeah, I can imagine with somebody it'll be a lot of fun, but playing it on my own, I was a little bit like, this is really hard work. So I couldn't finish any level quick enough to get like a gold rating. So
no, and to be honest, that's actually an issue when you only have 3 people. Like you have to really plan out what you're going to do. Otherwise, like there's somebody that's just that third wheel that's just like, well, like if you get all the small boxes first and then all that's left is a bunch of 2-person stuff, then one guy is left just sitting there dragging this table while the other 2 do stuff. And it's really just boring and annoying. And so yeah, I can only imagine if that's the only option you had, that would be no fun.
Yeah. So the other game I've been playing is Pac-Man 99. So the latest installment from the Nintendo Online service. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
I do too, man.
I enjoy playing Pac-Man. Anyway, I enjoy how difficult the challenge can get quite quickly. And adding playing it with 99 other people. It's just hilarious. There's nothing better than getting what I like to do is get the ghost.
The train. Yeah,
the train, but I think you can max it out at 30.
Right.
There's nothing better than getting all 30 in a row and just watching them go everywhere. I was like, yeah.
Just that dopamine hit. Just burr, 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 burr. Yeah.
So what have you guys, what's the best place you guys got?
I've gotten first a few times.
Have you?
31st is just...
Okay. Yeah. I absolutely suck at that game. Like I played it for a good 20 minutes and I think I made it to 60 once and I was like, nope, I'm a hard nope on this. It's not for me. And I'm glad for all y'all to love it, but yeah.
I played it docked, and Lindsay was watching, and she was like, "It's just FYI, Lindsay's my wife." Yeah, you probably gathered that from listening. And she was like, "I couldn't do this." She says, "Pac-Man gives her anxiety enough."
Yeah.
But yeah, I absolutely love that, and I hope they do other games like that. I like
Me too.
There's so many more retro arcade games that they can go back to play that sort of style. That it's.
So,
I think they hit an unlimited goldmine.
It is, but here's what I'll say about that. I really liked Mario 35. Like, I mean, I thought it was a fun game, but I still never went back to it after, like, I don't know, 3 weeks. Like,
sure.
Like, I wonder what their return is on that, of how people are playing it. And maybe they're smart enough to realize that, because if they brought Mario 35 back in a year, would I play it? Sure would. You know, maybe they got rid of it for a reason. I mean, and that makes sense to me. And so if they get a handful of those and cycle through them, would I be excited to see like a game that has been, maybe? But I can tell you, like, on the cusp of that question of like, I wonder what they could do. I because I'm really excited. I'm like, yeah, me too. But then when I look back, I'm like, but would I really, even if I liked it, even if it was another like Mario 35 and I was like, this is awesome, would I play it? Like, I don't know.
Could you imagine like Icebreakers 99? There's what was the name of that Mario? There was another Mario where the creatures came out of the pipes and you used the power blocks and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. I don't know what it was called, but
Mario Brothers. Well, it's just
Mario Brothers,
just regular Mario Brothers.
One, right?
Yeah. So there's that. There's so many they could use. So
yeah, I agree. Okay, so for me, I have really been just shoving a ton of time into Story of Seasons. Like, I'm almost to the point of saying I'm done, but I have this one building that's ridiculously hard to get done or to like repair. When you get to your farm, you have all these buildings that are in disrepair, and you have to get so many resources to repair them. And there's this one building that I want to repair just to say I did it, and that will take some time. But other than that, I've gone through an entire year now in Story of Seasons. I'll probably, however long it takes me to get that building repaired, and then I'll be done. But it was a good game. I don't think it's Stardew Valley good. I think I said that last time on the cast. It's not Stardew Valley good, but it's darn close. If you're not a fan of that 8-bit graphic that Stardew Valley had, then this might be the installment. But you like farming sims and you like the old school Harvest Moon, I think Marvelous has done pretty good to get close to back to there, but also to take stuff from Stardew Valley and kind of make it a modern experience, but also hit that nostalgia feel if you're a Harvest Moon fan. So, I should be hopefully done with Story of Seasons by the time we have another cast. I played a game called Fly Together. This was a review I did for the Nintendo Dads. And you know what? Now that I say that, I'll have more about that later. I just realized I actually might not be able to talk about
embargo, perhaps.
Yeah. So anyways, that's really all I've been doing, other than a lot of Animal Crossing. Anybody else got any other games they want to chat about before we move on to what Isabel's been doing in her morning announcements?
I'm going to try and avoid using the W word in this podcast. That's what I usually end up playing.
Got it.
So have you just not been playing it, or
no, I have been.
You can use it once, okay? You got to use it once. We're here now. You said it. People are gonna be like, "What's the W word?"
That one Warzone dropped.
Yeah. Drop one Warzone bomb.
Okay. If I'm gonna do it big. There's an update coming to the Battle Royale map this week. Well, by the time people listen to this, it'll have happened on the 21st of April. I think it's 12 p.m. Central or PST Pacific time. So it's going to be like 7 o'clock in the evening for me. I'm going to be able to miss it because I get to go to work. Yay. But they're nuking the whole map. Like they're doing a full-blown Fortnite style blackout.
Wow.
Restart everything. So what the map will look like after that. Nobody knows. There's a lot of speculation that it's going to go back to the Cold War era, so like 1980s.
That's cool.
Yeah. So what's been happening on the map for the last 6 weeks? There's been small outbreaks of zombies in all different areas. There's lots of bunkers in Verdansk as you land in. There's lots of different areas to go and raid for bunkers, try and get better loadouts and cash. They all opened up, and then there was a monitor appeared, and it gave like a percentage rating. So it started at 0, and then it's gone to 5, 20, 25, so on and so forth. And it's now at 100%, and it's reached the dam. As you're playing, when you drop into a royale and stuff like that, there's a warning that comes up every now and then. There's like protocol level 3, protocol level 4, and like there's rockets flying through the sky and everything like that. So, and the feature that they've added this week is there's now gas clouds appearing, and if you die inside those gas clouds, you come back as a zombie.
That's kind of fun.
That's cool. Yeah.
So there's been quite a lot going on. I found a team to play with, so like rather than playing solos now, I'm playing quads quite a lot, and so getting a lot more wins, doing a lot more wins in stream, which is nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's if I have been playing something, it's been that. I was playing it last night until 12:30 this morning for me, so I've had very little sleep too. But yeah, as it's the game, I've got a whole new love for the game now. I'm playing with a regular team, so which is quite good. And one of the guys on the team is somebody that I went to high school with that I've not really spoken to.
Oh, nice.
For like, I don't know. I can't think how long I've been out of high school. 16 years. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
nice.
Those games are always better, even if you stink. Like I have 2 guys that I play Apex with every once in a while. We're horrible, but like just because I know them and we just can laugh about how horrible we are, it just makes it more fun.
Horrible together. I mean, it basically just becomes like a chat platform at that point, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And also, Sean, we just need to get, you know how like the Nintendo dads have the events section, which anybody who actually listens to the Nintendo dads knows that it's really just Jesse's Pokemon Go section. We just need like an event section, which everybody will really just know it's Sean's Warzone section. I'll be like, and now events, Sean, and then you'll just talk about Warzone. I mean, but we love you.
Yeah, the next podcast I'll probably talk about the new map then and what's happened, and yeah. So
that sounds good. Well, that's a little bit about what we've been playing. Let's go see what is on Isabel's morning announcements today.
Welcome to Isabel's morning announcements. Is there any serious announcement that we have, or are we just?
Well, no. I mean, there's Nintendo's been
no
pretty
news
mum lately. There's no real announcements. It's just a lot of conjuring.
I lost the sock in the wash the other day. Am I going to do this like Isabel?
I found a sock.
Yeah, the sock's a serious thing. You know what we should call it when we have absolutely nothing? We should call it Katrina's Corner, is what we should call it, after the long lost but not found in New Horizons, except for on Nook Points now.
Right.
Nook Points, Katrina has shown up. We can call it Katrina's Corner because we're really just going to fortune tell about what we think is happening, which Seth is really good at. You know, I gotta call him out. I made fun of him about a like an indie direct thing, which we'll get to later, and then he just stomped all over me because it happened the next day. So Seth was right, but Justin, you were not right. So
I was going to say, far be it for us to inflate Justin's ego, but he was also right.
No, Justin, you were wrong. Seth was right. Okay, I'm not going to give
I'll take it.
So it appears that we've hit a bit of a dry spell with Animal Crossing updates, news, information. The Twitter is rife with people wanting things, but there's a lot of people out there that have been brutally honest and say we're probably not going to see anything. May's going to be exactly the same as April. I mean, even Bunny Day was the same, but with less. So,
Yeah, I will say they offered some cool new furniture in Bunny Day.
Mhm.
I mean, the festival was exactly the same, but the furniture you could get in Nooks was cool, needed outdoor furniture because there wasn't a lot of that in Bunny Day.
Yeah.
So I
mean,
I agree with that, but yeah.
I struggled with the cherry blossom thing. Like last year, I got very little, and then I went on every day. I caught cherry blossoms, and I got absolutely no extra DIYs this time from balloons.
I didn't have that same issue this time, and I don't know what that was. I had 3 recipes I needed, and I got them, and I didn't put in. It wasn't like Christmas time where I put in like hours popping balloons. So I don't know. I thought they came pretty easy. Now I am putting in 30 minutes to an hour every day. So I mean, but I didn't have to like hunt balloons, I guess is what I'm saying. I was just running around and I would find a balloon and I'd get one of the recipes that I needed. So I didn't, but what your story is anecdotally more what I see online. I mean, I know I was like, I got all my stuff, and Marty's like, I haven't got anything, nothing. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I don't know.
Yeah, so. They got to get over this balloon thing, man. Like the balloon thing's awful. That there's so many more interesting ways to distribute these things. You could have them associated with like treasure hunts, like villager treasure hunts. You could, there are a few items in the game where it's like, oh, I've done this action X amount of times. That made me think of this DIY. I mean, it would be so much easier for using the cherry blossoms as an example. Yeah, catch some of the cherry blossoms every like 5 or 10 that I catch or whatever. I think of a DIY, just something better than the balloons.
Anything's better than balloons. I 100% agree with that. So if we think May's going to be the same, or I mean, I guess so. Do we all think May's going to be the same? I guess that's the question. Let me go there first.
I've there's no whispers of anything. So like Nintendo usually have this little like nice hint of this is what the seasonal change for May might look like, and in that there's usually like a teaser of is that in there now? Is that not in there now? And there's been nothing from them yet that I've seen anyway. And it's one of the channels I'm subscribed to on YouTube is the Nintendo Animal Crossing one, and it's just nothing. It's dry. It's which is sad because this game did so well and such a massive audience due to the lockdown and everything like that. You'd think that Nintendo would want to keep the fire burning on this as much as possible, but
yeah, it's dry right now. I don't, to answer the question, I don't think that we're going to have anything new in May, unfortunately. I think what they may be doing, and this is probably wishful thinking, but what I really hope that they are doing, especially now that we know that Nintendo is going to have a presence at E3 this year, whatever form that's going to take, I'm really hoping that they're going to return with like some Treehouse Live events, and they're going to be like, hey, tune in at so-and-so date for the Animal Crossing Year 2 Treehouse Live event, where they're going to kind of detail something of a roadmap for what they're going to be doing, because they've got to have, of course, we've got a ton of new players, but there are people like us who have been there from the beginning of this game who are now a little bit starved for new content, and they've got to appeal to both audiences. I think that's their huge challenge.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if I have a maze in May and it's the exact same maze, because that's such low fruit, and it's exact same maze as the one they did in year 1, I'm going to be pretty disappointed. I'm not going to lie. I mean that's pretty low fruit. They could change up the maze and make it, even do a different, like make it Porter or something like that. Make it a different animal who hasn't, or NPC who hasn't made it into New Horizons. But I don't think they're going to do that. I'm not calling that, but I'm just saying it just seems like to do something easy like that, or to allow now there to be like 2 mazes for the first year people to get their thing. And then there's 2 mazes to do instead of 1. And I don't know, but I am I am shocked that they have. I mean, I know like Mario Party also is one of the DLC things that shocked me. It shocked a lot of Nintendo people. Like, why are you not putting out boards? I hate it when my son wants to play Mario Party, not because I don't like Mario Party, but because I've played the same boards over and over. Right. But I just looked at that and I thought, okay, the install base isn't that huge. Maybe they're thinking, sure, we'd make some money, but it's not really worth our time to do it. But come on, I mean, this game is huge. Like, why? Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't understand why they're not doing DLC yet for this. And I don't know if they're going to wait for 2 years or what the plan is. But it's crazy to me.
But no, look. By the time this is dropped, tomorrow morning, you wake up, Nick, there'll be a massive announcement. And it'll be like, and now we're going to go back and do it all again.
It would only be fair because when I guessed it on Seth's episode, I said, I don't know why they're not giving me more design things and why I got a blah blah, and I went on and on about all the stuff they should do, and then we got the silent Twitter drop of like more design slots and everything.
Right.
So like it would only be fair if it happened again as well. So
it is, yeah. It's impossible to know, right, how the pandemic has affected their development.
Yeah.
So that may have something to do with it as well. We'll probably never know exactly the lengths that kind of shook things up at Nintendo, but I just, you got to imagine they've got some kind of plan in place for that, because it just seems like, and Nintendo is a shrewd business and they've made some very baffling decisions, of course. But I mean, this game has become such a juggernaut that it would be money left on the table. There's no way they won't take advantage of it. You have to imagine they will.
Yeah. I wonder if in some way it affected them. The pandemic affected them in a different way than what we are normally used to thinking, which is they thought, well, we'll put this game out. It'll have to ride for a couple of years before it has a good install base, and then we'll throw out DLC,
Yes.
But in this case, because of the pandemic, the install base just, ballooned it in the first year. And now they're like, well, we weren't really expecting, to do that. Yeah. So, yeah.
I think if the hype behind it all before the release and before the pandemic was a thing, they were announced this 12 months before they release, and there was a lot of hype started then. I don't think this has caught Nintendo sleeping. I can't for a second imagine that.
Yeah, you're probably right. And I always have said that, the pandemic helped Animal Crossing, but I don't think it helped it near as much as some people give that little asterisk credit for. So I agree with you there. So all right.
Well, if they were to do something, what would we want to see? That's my question is what I mean, then the Mario stuff was great. It's something that's gonna the stuff I've got is gonna live there on my island until the end of time.
Right.
So unless they do something absolutely hugely massive, marvelous, that means that I've got to flatten the whole island and start all over again like I've done before.
Oh, please no.
Yeah, I don't know if I can.
Please no.
I don't have enough bells for that, which means I'd have to go back to the turnip hustle.
Turnip hustle! Get back into it. Marty said he's into it this week. Come on, you get into it too. To be fair, just real quick on the Mario items, I'm surprised they're still there. I really didn't expect for them to still be there. I thought they'd pull that promotional tab by now. But
yeah, they're still hanging out in there. Yeah. It's weird.
I mean, I really thought when they killed off Mario, at the beginning of this month, that they would kill off that promotional tab too. But nope, still there. So I don't know. So what do we want to see? Seth? What are your hopes for DLC if it were to come?
And we've been saying this for a while. And I think we even talked about this when you were on All In, Nick. Yeah. But I really just want like some really quite basic quality of life things still in the game. I really want things like the big one for me is batch crafting. I cannot believe that is not in the game. Like that's insane to me. And the justification for it is probably like, oh, well, that would make some of the Nook Mile achievements quite a bit easier to unlock or whatever. But, you know, still, it just like that it's quality of life stuff like that. The fact that I have to buy my things in Able Sisters one bit at a time, you know, like these little tiny things that I really think that should be kind of like updated, patched in the game. We've seen them make baby steps towards this. We've seen things like now we have more custom designs and whatnot, but there's still quite a bit left that, you know, now for folks like us who have put like, you know, almost 1,000 hours into this game, you know, like we're seeing some of the kinks that still need to get ironed out, you know. But in terms of significant things, and this is another thing that I've kind of tooted the horn for a lot, but Brewster, I really want to see that worked in. I really want to see like some kind of, there's an idea that was floating around the internet that I'm really quite enamored with the idea that the Roost Cafe would kind of become a hub for not only just characters that are not properly in the game yet, but also old villagers that have moved from your island would maybe float in there for a cup of coffee and whatnot. I think that would be really nice. And just like, I think there needs to be kind of more of a daily time sink. Like in New Leaf, you could kind of work there and pop in there and serve coffee and become a barista. And like if they tied some really cool like cafe themed items to that, give people more of a reason to come in and not only do my daily chores, but also work a shift at the Roost. Yep. Like that'd be really cool.
It doesn't really need to be in a completely new building. There's the whole. No. I mean, I haven't set foot in the museum on my island in a long time. If they stuck a coffee shop in there to do that,
100%.
Yeah. But
yeah, I think NPCs are a big one for me. Go ahead, Sean. What were you going to say?
I'm just going down that exact same route. There is such a catalog of characters for them to fall back on that we haven't seen, like, even like Captain and stuff like that. There's so much they can do, and if they're also into mixing things up, I know we said it before, like the whole Toad boat appearing to buy special items. There's areas of the island that they don't really use, like the pier that goes off to, for me, goes off to the east. Some people have it to the. There's things there that it's like you could use that for something else other than just fishing or jumping off.
Yeah. I thought for sure before they announced Red for the game, I thought for sure that little secret beach that like for the longest time we had no idea what that was for. I thought that was the space that they were leaving for future land expansion. So like eventually there would be a kind of secondary sub island that would connect to or something like that. So if they are going to include like new buildings and like a substantial amount of new NPCs, I do sort of feel like they're going to have some kind of secondary landmass versus, like you mentioned earlier, Sean, like having us just knock everything down and completely reformat these islands that we put so much work into.
Because New Leaf, you went over the crossing, didn't you, from the train? So you went over the level crossing and you went into the little town area. So it wouldn't take much work to do that. Oh, look, there's this bridge that's appeared for you to cross to the next island.
Or even just another Dodo Airlines location, you know. It could be as simple as that.
Or they could use Cap'n to get you there on the dock.
Yep.
So
bring him back.
Bring Cap'n back and have him do it on the dock. That's what I would really expect for DLC, is like a secondary island. Because it's got to, I say this, but I guess not really. I mean, to some level, the San, we don't view it that way, or at least I don't properly, but it is. The Sanrio cards were DLC. I mean, really. And they were DLC for both villagers and items. So there's no reason they couldn't do more DLC that weren't cards, that were just, add-ons. So I guess really they've already done it to some extent. They could do that again. But in my head, like digital DLC is another island to explore, or even like an island of mini games like Tortimer had in New Leaf, or something like that. Like, I mean, that's what I'd like to see. If it's an island for just me to decorate, quite frankly, I'm not going to be super excited, because
we have that. It's Halves Island.
Yeah. That's it.
So
I'm not going to be super excited about that. I would be over the moon about a mini game island or something like that I could do. Like that I would be so excited for. Because
Pitfall Island.
But to do that, like the problem with that is to do that, we couldn't get 8 people on one island for the dinner table. Like I don't know, the internet infrastructure, and I'm not the person to talk about this really, other than that my time with it has always been somewhat jaded. I mean, I go there, we got 3 people on the island, the 4th person be coming in there, somebody's internet would crash. I don't even know what happened. And then we all go back and it's like, okay, well, we try again. Oh, didn't work again. And so it's like, well, the idea of that mini game all playing together sounds great, but man, they'd have to fix the connectivity problem before we could even get there. So
yeah. And there was a weird story that floated around a few months ago that Nintendo had swapped their server infrastructure. And I, like you, I'm not the guy to talk about this, but from what I understand, they upgraded essentially their server structure a little bit ago and swapped to a much more kind of modern infrastructure for what's running their multiplayer server. So we may see that. I think Monster Hunter Rise was the first game that took advantage of that, if I'm not mistaken. So it'd be cool to see games that are big like Smash and Animal Crossing kind of migrate to these more reliable servers, especially for multiplayer reasons. And you're right, because in terms of like things to really do when it comes to having other people on your island, you can throw these little island parties and just kind of hang out, but there's not a whole heck of a lot to actually do.
Yeah. In fact, to be honest, there's less to do when people are on your island, and that's always the kicker. It's like my son would, and that's kind of why my son fell off, because he was like, well, Dad, I want to play with you. But he's like, but when I get there's nothing to do. And I'm kind of like, well, I don't want you on my island, because everything I want to do on my island, I can't do once you're on my island.
Right.
And so, yeah, that limitation is really a big issue. Noah would probably still be playing this game if there was 1, more to do together, and 2, even if I would have the option to do all of my normal stuff if he was there. But a lot of times he'd want to come, and I was like, well, what are we going to do? And 2, I can't do anything that I want to do when you're here. So
even if he could help you, because he could collect crafting material for you to craft stuff while you are busy terraforming an area of your island.
Yeah. So. But yeah, once you open that thing, man, you can't put the hat on. You can't, I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff you can't do. Can't move furniture. Can't pick anything up. It's, and I mean, I get it. I know there's like the whole duping thing, and that was big when we first started the podcast. Right. People trying to find different ways to dupe, and that's the reason that they do all that, or at least that's what people tell me. I don't have no idea. I never really got into it. The whole spin. No. Do you remember the whole spin the box and grab the item? Back when Animal Crossing first came out, that was like a huge thing. Like you can make all these Animal Crossing switches and so on. That's fine. But that seems like 100 years ago.
Yes, it does. It was effectively.
All right. So, anything else on DLC? As I say,
just that other than it needs to come fast.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I do think, and we talked about this again a little bit, Nick, when we had you on, but I think Zelda DLC is probably coming for the 35th anniversary. Mm-hmm. I think that's pretty likely in terms of it being like paid or whatever. I think they're going to probably handle it similarly to what they did with Mario, and just because that's what the only real thing we have to base it on. But yeah, I do think we probably have that in the pipeline. I think E3 will probably be a bit of a blowout for Zelda in general, and that's probably where we're kind of going to hear the first rumblings of that. And so I think that is coming. But again, it would be nice to, give us some scraps until then,
Mm-hmm. I was surprised, even on our Discord, Mario items got a few people back in, but really, I mean, there were a ton of people on our Discord that was like, when Mario items, I'm back in, baby, yes. I'm doing it. But really, that didn't entirely happen. Like, I mean, like the people who actually, there was a bunch of people that I think jumped in for a day, grabbed some stuff, or maybe a couple days and grabbed like all the items or something. but then they were pretty much right back out. I mean,
Right.
So yeah, it's gonna be something pretty big to bring a large section of that Animal Crossing population back in. And I mean, certainly you're not going to get everybody. There were some people, it was a moment in time, a moment in pandemic time,
Right.
that there's just not there for them. They won't come back, and that's cool. I mean, everybody's got their own thing, but yeah, what do they got to do to get the most people possible? And that's something that I'm sure Nintendo's thinking about how that works. But I agree, we'll definitely have some Zelda stuff. I think definitely.
Yeah,
I think
I would hope, and I don't necessarily think they're going to do this. I think they're probably going to handle it basically exactly the way they did with Mario. But I would love it if they made it just more involved, like some kind of way to unlock them versus just buying them. Because like as nice as it is to not have to pop any stupid balloons, it would have been really cool to have like something just a bit more involved than simply ordering them every day, waiting for them to come in, throwing them on your island, throwing them in your house or whatever, and that's it. So it'd be really great if they incorporated some kind of like, maybe you have to do a little quest or something like that, or just like something, just a little. I think just in general, what I want from the game is just something slightly deeper than what we have now.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny. Like they got to find that sweet spot. The balloons ain't it. It's not fun to just sit there and wait every 5 minutes for a balloon. Like,
right.
But then also just like ordering them from your phone isn't fun either. So yeah, they're having trouble finding that spot in the middle that's like just enough work that it's rewarding, but not too much, and I think they'll get there. I think they will, but yeah, they're having trouble finding it for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with the Zelda stuff is that you've got the whole currency thing with Zelda. So you could dig rupees up or shake a tree and drop rupees and
That's a great point.
things like that to then have to buy them physically from a certain spot. There's the whole treasure chest thing with Zelda where you've got the probability of, you just collect 5 more rupees, or you then pick up an item of clothing. So there's that aspect to it they can bring where, again, that's just a randomized generation of what you're going to get, but it makes it more fun because you're opening a Zelda chest, you get the whole item retrieval music from Zelda, which everyone else.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So
I love that. I love that idea. So just simply incorporating the rupees. If it was something, shaking a tree, I get a rupee, plucking a weed, hearkening back to the cutting grass and Zelda thing, maybe that can sometimes pop a rupee or whatever. And having that as a separate currency that you can only spend on the Zelda gear, the Zelda items, that immediately makes it something you have to work for. I can't just I've got like 20 million bells in the bank. I can't just throw that at it, wait, however many days it takes me to accumulate it, and then I'm done. It would be so nice to have to work for it. I love that idea.
Yeah, that would be fun. I still want beetles. I've said it from the beginning since this conversation's been out. I want beetles to wash up on if you married those two ideas, Sean, where you got to work for these rupees and beetles washes up on my beach and says, yeah, I don't know how I got here, but I got all this junk. Do you want to buy some of it? And all of a sudden, like rupees showed up, and he's like, "No, I don't take bells. I only take rupees, man. That's what we do. That's what we buy with where I come from." I mean, that would be so great. I would absolutely love that. I would totally be in. So, yep. And like maybe he gives you a little sword that you can use for an axe. I've heard that a ton of times. So yeah.
Not even just to use, just to carry it. Just to,
right.
I mean, we've got the glow stick that we can wave. We've got the different variations of drinks that you can cheers with just the sword, and he just holds it up.
Right.
Yeah. That'd be cool,
carry
yeah.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'd be down for it. You know what else they could do? They could make it a app on your phone where you had to go daily and then hit the button. And then you'd get 10 Nook points. Oh no, sorry, that's a different thing. How are you all doing with your Nook points? You going in there and getting them every day? Because I'm not. I totally forget.
Yeah,
I do too.
Apologies to the Discord community that I have turned the alarm off to do the daily reminder.
Yeah, Sean was supposed to give us a daily reminder, of which he totally failed about a week and a half in. Not to throw you under the bus, but I did.
Yeah, there we go. Tread marks everywhere. Yeah, I think I've got 50 now. I've got the first few items, but I ain't bothered about getting the posters, so I've stopped doing it. I went on yesterday just because Frosticles asked about it and completely reminded me to do it. But yeah, yesterday was a double day as well, which was nice. But
good for you. I've had one double and one triple. How about you, Seth? How are you doing with that?
Yeah, it's hit or miss. If I happen to think about it, I pop on. I have gotten kind of lucky with the triples and whatnot. I've managed to get 2 of the 100 cost photos.
Okay.
And because I'm basically working from most to least expensive.
Okay.
And so I mean I'm doing okay with it or whatever, but it feels so disjointed from the core game that like if there was literally anything in the core game to call that to mind to hey, there you go.
Oh, you got a 3er.
You got a triple.
Sean's doing good today. But if there's literally anything in the game to sort of like to bring that up at all, if Isabel mentioned that in her morning announcements every so often, not every day, but every now and then, hey, did you check in, get your Nook points or whatever? Like it just feels like a completely separate experience to me.
Yep.
Yeah. You couldn't. The Nintendo like online support app doesn't have a notification system, so it could just
so
be
weird.
Yeah, and that does harken back to what we were talking about in the sense with the Mario items, where it's like they feel like these little separate experiences that they haven't made there's this cohesive. What's great about Animal Crossing, I've said it a million times, is when you log in and you come out of your little house, you're in this cohesive world. And whatever they do to take you out of that cohesive world takes away from the charm of Animal Crossing. And so like when they just throw in Mario items randomly or these Nook points randomly, all that pulls you out of your little world of Animal Crossing and takes away from the charm, in my opinion. And
I agree. They've also, though, they've already kind of like, they've made that half step with even things like the fact that I can pull out my phone in game and, and look at the kiosk or the order catalog or whatever. It'd be really cool if they incorporated that, where if I've already linked my NSO account or whatever, maybe it is a app on the actual in-game phone too, where I can check in and get my Nook points or whatever. I mean, it'd be really cool to tie it in a little bit more. But right now, it just feels like kind of a disjointed experience that is just sort of there. And the rewards are cool, I guess. But like, they're nothing I'm really chomping at the bit for,
Yeah. No, I do totally agree with that. And that would be good. I mean, and you could totally lock it down to, they've locked a ton of stuff down in the game that only NSO members can do. So, you could flip open that phone, hit the button and be like, oh, sorry, you're not an NSO member. You could still lock it down that way. And so, yeah, that would be cool. That would be a good step towards keeping it cohesive in the environment.
In the doc here, there's a little bit of bitterness from somebody about a golden shovel.
Yeah, there is. Somehow, Seth has pulled out the golden shovel. Like what? A week ago? 2?
Yeah, it was like a week or 2 ago. Yeah,
I think it was 2 actually, because it was like right before our last podcast, and I was like, oh yeah. So to be fair, I fell asleep once. I was really terraforming, and I was like, I got to get back to Gulliver, and then I passed out at like 3 a.m, and I woke up and I was like, I forgot Gulliver. So there is that. I've missed like one time that I can recall. But still, I am just like, here Seth is already with his golden shovel, and I'm like, what the hey? I got like 5,000 hours into this game, and I still don't have the golden shovel. Wasn't bitter at all.
just dumb luck, man. Like to be honest, and for those that don't know, the golden shovel, from all accounts, apparently you get it after 30 visits, 30 times helping Gulliver. I don't know how accurate that is, because like I was telling you, I think I hit 20 back in like September. So it's one of those things where I'm like, I know I did the other 10, but no, yeah, it just kind of happened one day.
So to answer that question, the 20 Nook Mile achievements accounts for both Gulliver and Gullivar.
Oh, okay.
Where the shovel only accounts for Gulliver.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Okay, so that's probably why it felt like so much longer than it was. Because
I was the same way. I was like, I thought the shovel was everything too. So I remember like forever ago, back in I think December, I was like, I'm getting myself that shovel, and then it didn't happen. Yeah. So I went and researched it, and then I found out that it's just Gulliver.
Yeah, and then to be honest with you too, though, man, like now that I have it, I don't really use it because I don't want it to break.
Well, of course you don't. I don't use any of my gold items. I just want it.
I just want to show it off, that's all it really is. So like, and that's another, I'm like, why do they gotta break? I've earned them. Like, just give me the items that don't break, but
if they break, it would be nice if they had more of a benefit than just lasting longer. Like,
right. That was going to be my question next. Is like the golden watering can waters a larger area. Does the golden shovel allow you to dig up a tree without eating fruit?
No, I wish.
That would be great. Yeah. That would be really, well, maybe. I don't know. Because then I just randomly dig up crap I didn't want to dig up. So I don't know.
That's fair.
What would be cool is like if I knock on, like maybe you knock on the money rock and you get like triple what you normally get if you have that. Not that it matters, because by that time you wouldn't really need any cash anyways, but still, do something for me.
Or a greater opportunity to get more golden nuggets or bits and pieces like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's always about increasing the percentage of chance. So
yeah, any of that stuff would be great. They definitely missed a bit on the golden, because you're right. I don't use them either, because I don't want to spend my golden nuggets to continually make them. And plus, I'm trying to get the. I also am trying to slowly work towards the DIY or the Nook Mile achievement of crafting all of the 3,000 tools. So why use golden shovels when they're just going to last longer?
Yeah, exactly.
So I also I did get my DIY furniture Nook achievement. Very excited about that. Nice. I don't plan to ever craft anything ever again except for maybe tools. And to answer Seth, I assume that because I literally just got it Sunday, so I assume that this morning when I wake up, Nintendo will come out and say that batch crafting is now available.
Right.
That's what I'm pretty sure is going to happen. And I'm just going to be.
I thank you in advance if it does.
yeah, exactly. So you're welcome. My pain is your joy. So now I'm on to what is it, like happy. I can't remember what it's called. Happiness Together, I think is what it's called. Where you have to chat with all of your villagers, of which, even though I've been playing this game every day since it launched, I've only done 18 times. Now today makes 19. Listen, people, just because you play Animal Crossing doesn't mean you have to be a good friend. That's what that tells you. I just never apparently did it. So I got a lot of work to do there. And I also have like 3,000 bugs to catch. So you won't hear from me on a Nook Mile achievement for a good long time at this point.
Nick never talks to us. He does all this work on the island, says nothing.
Yeah, no, that actually is very accurate. Usually when I do chat with somebody, they're like, "Oh, well, we always see you running around, but you never talk to me." Like it's usually something like that they say. So they're
salty about it.
Yeah, they are a little bit. So in fact, today when I did talk to everybody to start my journey on that one, a lot of them were like, "Oh wow, I haven't talked to you in a while. Wow, it's nice to chat with you." And I was like, all right, whatever. Leave me alone.
So for every 67 hours that you've played in the game, you've talked to a villager on average.
Thank you. Thank
Wow.
I like Nick's numbers.
Me too. We really should start a little segment. Sean's
Nick's
numbers for Nick, or Sean's Nick. I don't know. Yeah, and I do have Doc. I kicked him off the island. Well, I didn't kick him off. He said he wanted to go, and I said have fun. And I specifically did that because I already had his photo, and I am very interested. I got a pack of Sanrio cards thanks to one of our Discord members, LPD. Big shout out to him.
Nice.
He got an extra pack. Yeah, he asked me if I wanted one, and I said please, and he was nice enough to send it my way. So I plan to break out that pack of cards and choose one of them. I think there's a guy named Marty, if I remember correctly. Yes. So I feel like I need a Nintendo Dad on my island. So I plan to bring Marty on my island. Hopefully he's less salty than the Marty on Nintendo Dads, but we'll see.
Oh no, I'd love it if he wasn't.
It's true. It would be better if it was just like continuing like, the first time I talk to him, he's going to be like, I can't pop all these balloons and I don't get the item I wanted. I've popped too many balloons and I'm mad about it. I'll be like, wow. This is amazing. You're really just like the Marty I know.
What's weird about the Sanrio stuff is they function really similarly to the Mario stuff, where they just pop up in your catalog, and now you can just order them whenever you want.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they actually are grouped in the promotions tab with the Mario stuff too. So it's kind of weird the way they handled it, but it is cool. And yeah, Marty's like this cute, cuddly little Sanrio bear.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's totally my plan. I've heard horror stories where people kick somebody off the island, and then when you like the next day, so he's in boxes right now. So like tomorrow It should be open. I've heard horror stories where somebody's already there the next day. So I'm hoping that didn't happen to me. To be fair, don't kick people off my island very much or very often. So
same.
Yeah. So hopefully that didn't happen to me. Do you guys keep your first two? This is a random squirrel moment for me.
Yes,
but
yes.
Do you still have your original two?
Tammy and Ted are never allowed to leave.
Yeah, I feel the same way about Pashmina and Buck. What about you, Seth? Did you kick them off? Or?
You know, so my first two were Boone and Diva.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't a fan of Diva. I kept Boone for a very long time. And I had this kind of like this moment with him where just one day he tried to move out, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let him go. You know, if you love something, let it go. As they say, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that every now and then. But at this point, I'm really happy with my little cast. Like you said, I've been trying to collect the photos.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing the iron wall lamp thing. With the trying to get the photos from everybody. I've gotten everybody except for Marina and Lobo. And I have probably given Marina like 60 iron wall lamps at this point, and she just will not give up that photo, man. Like it's killing me.
Yeah.
Those are the last two I need.
Yeah, it can be like I want to get them for everybody who's on my island. I'm not. When I did the paintings thing, man, there are people who are obsessed with those photos. Like I could have pretty much gotten any painting I wanted if I would have just given up one photo. Like they were like those things are hot items on Nookazan for sure.
Hard to get, man.
Yeah,
hard to get, but yeah, like I just unfortunately I do not have my two original ones. I kind of wish that I had kept Boone in retrospect. There's a little bit of regret there, a little bit of heartbreak, but Diva though, no, she could go away. I wasn't a fan of Diva.
The last time I kicked somebody off, I got Rodeo, and I was very unhappy with him. He's this creepy demon-eyed like bull, and I'm like, well, I could have lived without you. So I really wanted I don't know. I kind of want his photo just to have it, but I kind of think I'm just gonna kick him off because he's a little too creepy looking for me.
Yeah, bad. I've had somebody leave. Luna, I believe, has just left. And I haven't had anybody move back in, as far as I'm aware. I'm just going to check it. That's what I'm looking at now.
So how long ago was that she left?
About a week.
Really? And they didn't just fill it with anybody?
No.
It's still open?
I haven't had anything else. I'm literally just running up to the island headquarters. Island living.
I feel like we need a drum roll here.
Right?
I can't do it. I'm sorry. I don't know. Yeah, yours was much better than mine. Mine was like a sad car.
Oh, maybe they have. All the houses are there.
Who do you got?
I don't know. I'm just going to check now on the newest house.
It's like a gachapon machine or something. Like, who's coming out?
Claudia. I got Claudia.
Claudia. Doesn't ring. Is she a cow? For some reason, I think she's a cow. I don't mean that. I don't mean that in a derogative term. I mean literally a cow.
Yes, she is a bovine.
Okay, both. See, look at you and your
refinement.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh no, sorry, not Claudia. Claudia I've had for a while. It's Vic that I've got, and Vic is
the Viking. Yeah.
Cool. I'll keep hold of that one.
Well, there you go. Well, all right, guys. Do we have anything else that we want to chat about with Isabel's morning announcements?
No, we've actually filled quite a lot of time with Animal Crossing for once.
we can do it, even if there's nothing to talk about.
I can talk, man.
That's right. Yeah, that's how it works. All right, let's head on over to the dad corner then. Welcome to the Dad Corner, guys. All right, we want to give a big thanks to Frosticles, because if we're being honest here, Sean and I were kind of bantering back and forth. What should we do for a dad topic? We didn't really know. We were like, and then we asked you guys for questions, thoughts, comments, and Frosticles, you gave an awesome dad question, which is our topic of the cast. So he asks, do you guys do anything just for you? Example, I've been asked to return to baseball training after nearly 2 years away. It's 2 hours on a Sunday morning, but as the season starts, it'll be an all-day Sunday thing. I really want to go back, but Sunday has become our family day in my time away, and with work and life, it'll be difficult to squeeze family things in anywhere else. Am I selfish for wanting to go? What would you guys do? If you already do something like that, how do you balance it around life? I think it's a really good question.
It is.
John, what do you think, man?
Well, the baseball thing, if it becomes an all-day thing in the season, there's all the opportunity, especially in the nice weather that they get down there, because he's in a very nice part of the UK. That when it's sunny, it's gorgeous. He could involve the family in that. Obviously, I've never been to a baseball game. I don't know how long they last. I don't know what, especially in the UK, what the facilities and stuff like that. But I'm assuming there'll be food, barbecue, family, like other people's kids, and obviously, if he's got friends that do that, to try and involve his friends' kids, so the kids all get to play, and it then becomes a family-based thing around something that you enjoy. So that would be one of the best ways to try and look at trying to do it.
Do you guys have anything that you do? Do you guys have anything like this that?
I go to the gym. That's my time. So, that's the blessing with working shifts. That. Like today, Lindsay's at work. Today, Logan's at nursery. The other two kids are going to be at school. So I basically, from 9 till 3, it's just for me. I'll do, depending awesome. If I can stretch this left arm problem out. If I can't stretch this left arm problem out, then the gym out of the question. So looking at the sky, it's going to be a nice warm day. So probably go out on the push bike for a bit, find somewhere to cycle around for a while. That's kind of like what I do for me.
Gotcha.
Is that break away from the kids when they're all at school and stuff like that, or I'll tidy and I'll clean, or I'll basically like that. I couldn't. I tried the Monday to Friday work life, and it drove the living. Yeah, it drove me mad because.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why there are different jobs in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only time off from work that I got, there was everybody had off. So like trying to do something was horrendous because just lots of people. I don't deal well with big crowds of people anyway. So this pandemic's been awesome for me because everything's really quiet.
Yeah.
But like I just couldn't do it. So and then having a young kid. So like I don't know, Seth, you when you do eventually become a dad, that like soft play centers are so busy at the weekend where like I used to be able to take Logan to the soft play like on a Wednesday while I was off work, and there maybe me like 2 other people there with kids, and so we had like a full reign of everything, and he could run around. You could really see how much he enjoyed it, rather than the constant battle of him running into other kids or being upset, and then the constant noise. So yeah. I'm sounding like a really grumpy dad, but no, it's like so. Yeah,
you sounded like a real dad, man. That's
like, a real dad. Yeah.
So I suppose I like to stay active. So that for me, like, if I was in Frostigle's situation and it was something that you enjoyed doing and it was active and you enjoyed being active, it's like I'd really push to do that, because there's a lot to be said for mental health, for staying active, doing something for yourself. You don't want to have that opportunity to do something for yourself and not take it, and in 6 months' time resent that fact, that because that could be quite a negative thing.
Sure.
So
what about you, Seth? You do something that's like all you, just for yourself?
Yeah, I think Sean, you made a great point when you said that in terms of the balance too. I think, and I'm not a dad yet, but my wife and I, we do play Dungeons and Dragons every other weekend. So involving her in that means that we can, and we have a whole big party and everything, and I'm the dungeon master of that party. I've been playing D&D for like 13 years. So that's kind of a nice thing that we can do as a kind of enjoyment thing. That's for, I guess she's involved with it, but it is kind of involving the family in a leisure activity. But in terms of like stuff that I like to do, I like to cook a lot. Cool. I really like cooking. That's kind of my me time. My wife is one of those. She's happy to let me be the cook. She would say that she could burn water. So cooking is kind of my thing. I like to kind of lose myself, get into the zone, cook. I've got a nice smoker. I like to, have like awesome. A weekend barbecue kind of thing. I'm not a dad yet, but I'm on my way to the dad activities,
sure, yeah.
With the grill and whatnot. But yeah, it's just, and then, it's so hard when you're both, my wife and I both work full-time jobs. Doing the podcast every week is sort of, because we have such a long show and I edit everything, and it kind of, it literally is like a second job sometimes. And so it is hard. The balance is really difficult. But another great thing you said, Sean, was, excuse me, it's so important to take that time for yourself, for your mental health. So important to carve out just a little bit of me time. Like even if it's something, if it is just like, I'll do my workouts on Ring Fit Adventure, and even if that's just an hour a day that I have to myself, then like that's enough,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think like the 2 hours on a Sunday, I'd say you really got to go for it. But when it becomes an all day thing, man, that's gonna be tough. And I think the best thing that I could say here is it's hard. It would be, well, first off, let me back up and say, for me, my thing really is this, and video games. Like this is my me thing. I play a lot of video games. And I love to content create. And so those are the me things that I do. Now that works out well because I can find times to do them that are off family time. And my wife is not much of a video gamer, but my kids are, so I can incorporate my kids into my hobby too, when it's appropriate. So that's different. For his particular scenario, the only thing that gives me pause is that this is it sounds like his only day, right? And it's going to take up the whole day. Like the 2 hours a day, I'm like, sure, I don't see why I think you should ask for that. But I think you got to have open communication on this one with his wife, and just, he needs to he needs to let her know how important this is, because I don't know. It seems like he wants to do it, but to Sean's point, like, how important is this to him, to the point of like, the pandemic has really got me in a tough spot and I really need this time.
Yes.
And so it's important, I think, to let, because I mean, you know, I can tell Becca, my wife, hey, I want to go do this. And she can say, you know, the kids, it'll be difficult. I don't know. But if I tell Becca, hey, I'm just in a tough way right now. Like, it's been a rough day. It's been a rough week at work. I just really could use the night away to hang out with the guys and do my own thing. Like, those two different things are totally different. And she would understand one, she would feel okay more one than the other. And so I think that's a conversation you need to have with your significant other at that point, to say, hey, you know, how much does this affect me? How much do I need this one thing?
Yeah, and knowing like Froskells has worked throughout the whole of this pandemic. I know he works Morrison's, which is a supermarket chain in the UK. And
oh wow, yeah,
and he's worked like early hours. So like, and when he came, the times when he comes on the podcast, he always laughs and jokes because that's his usual time for like being up for work. So and like he'll work from 5 o'clock in the morning till 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I know the guy works hard, and like it's like there's not been a break for him really. So doing something like this, the social aspect, especially now it's opening back up again over here, it'd be really good. Even if he just went and did the training for 2 hours on a Sunday and like didn't play in the season until, you know, like they could find a comfortable balance. Like he could still go, he could still support his team, he could be there on standby if needed. And maybe just do it one Sunday a month that he actually went for the day and play, rather than every Sunday. Just find that balance, because there's nothing better in this world than doing something for yourself. It's great to do a lot of things for other people and give back, but there's nothing better than like sitting back and thinking, oh yeah, I've done that today for me. You know, that was great, because you feel so recharged and refreshed for it. So
I don't remember how old his kiddos are too.
I think they're quite young. So I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. I will say, so we're not a baseball family, but my wife's cousins are, and prior to the pandemic, we would go there 1 week. They live like in this small little town in Illinois. Like, I won't even give you the name, because if I give you the name, you could like find them, because there's like that few people in the town. Okay. Like, I mean, they live and breathe baseball in the summer, like live and breathe it. And so I will say it can be an all day event if it's like, especially a lot of those, like when her cousin would go play, he would usually do a double header type thing. So he'd play, then he'd have a couple hours off, then he'd play again. And the family loved it. Like, we would go, and it would be, I mean, for me personally, I loved going that one time. I couldn't imagine keeping the schedule they keep all summer long, but they love it. They go, they do picnics. There's usually a park nearby the baseball diamonds, because normally it's, I don't know what it's like over there, but over here there's like usually like a 4 baseball diamond complex type thing that they're all rotating on, and they have a ton of fun. They play. I think it's also kind of cool that now his son is playing, because, you know, he grew up watching his dad play ball. So why wouldn't he play ball? You know, he that's kind of what you do, right? And so now he's playing, and now they're going to baseball games for both his son and him, and it's just crazy, but they love it. And so I guess my point to that is you can find a way to make it work, especially if it's something you really need to kind of, you know, be a good dad. So
yeah, and I think the communication that you touched on, Nick, is so important with really any relationship. I think communication and honesty is just the number one thing when it comes to, you know, communicating like how important it is to your family, to your wife and whatever, and sort of make that work around your lifestyle. and if that means kind of involving the family and trying to make those bridges connect, great. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't, but taking the time for yourself is important, and communicating that, I think, is going to be a really instrumental step in making that happen.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes I think we forget, like, it's totally different to say, I want to go do this one thing, or I really need to do this one thing so that I can be a good dad for you. And so if you don't really communicate it well, you can just be like, well, she wouldn't let me go do that one thing. And it's like,
right.
She doesn't understand how important it is, because it's not important to her, and she doesn't understand how important he or she, your significant other, doesn't understand how important it is, because it goes the other way too. My wife is a big thrift shopper. I don't get anything out of this.
Same.
It is like in her DNA to get a good deal. And so
right.
It took me a long time to realize that. So she would be like, I want to go do that. I'd be like, I guess whatever, and I'd huff and puff about it. But when I realized, like, her getting to do that to me an ungodly amount of time, I don't know how she can walk through a store that as much as she does, but for her to get to do that, like a thrift store, it's like totally recharges her. She comes back and she's awesome, and she's showing me all these, like, this mound of stuff she got for $2 basically, and she's all proud of it, and that's like her thing. And so I've learned that.
100%. You just spoke to my soul there, because my wife is the exact same way. She loves thrift shopping and she loves plants. Those are kind of her two big passions. Yeah. So, and I'm like, hey man, like follow your star, that's what makes you happy. Yeah. And that's what's important to you, like you're saying with Frosticles, like working on the front line in the pandemic, long hours, hard work. It's like, hey man, like, this is what I need every other Sunday or whatever the case may be to enjoy myself, to like just kind of mentally unpack and take that time for myself. I think that's really important, and just communicate how important that is to you. And it sounds like it's really important to them. So
yeah. All right, did we unpack that? Anything else before we head on?
No.
I hope that helps
quite well. No, yeah, me too. Because his real name's Jason, but he is a really nice guy. We're friends on Facebook.
Nice.
Xbox friends with his wife, so because she's a big Warzone fan. Yeah, you get to drop it again. But he's really So it's one of them, when things open up and we're allowed to actually travel around a little bit more. I tried to make a point of saying, because we've got family in Plymouth, which is quite close to him. I said, like, once we get down to see that family that way, because we usually go down for a couple of days, I'll make a point of traveling, because it's like an extra hour from that, so it's 6 hours away. So I'll make a point of coming and actually come meet you and say hi and have an actual place to chat. So
that's awesome. I love when we see on Discord, like when Marty and Dan met up.
Marty and Dan, yeah.
Yeah, I love when that kind of stuff happens. I mean, it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's totally cool. Well, all right. Let's go see what's on the bulletin board. Sneak peek. We're going to be talking about Frosticles a little bit more on the bulletin board. Let's go see what he says there.
So before we get to our Villagers Bulletin Board questions, as always, we want to thank all the Patreon members and the Nintendo Dads for hanging with us on Discord. It is really, we've just discussed it there, saying that there's little bromances that get born within the Discord. It is an amazing place to be. We lean on each other for support, asking questions like we've just had previously. It's fantastic. I've never had a support network with a bunch of people that I've never met in my actual life face to face and felt so comfortable. So honestly, you are one of the best communities on the internet I've ever met, and I personally love you all. So yeah. So if you're listening to this and you would like to chat with us and all the other Animal Crossing fans, we've got different aspects of gaming in there that it's a great place to get to know people that are like-minded. Mm-hmm. It's $1 a month. It's not much. I pay the $1 a month. I was there at the highest level, but unfortunately, due to other things, I've had to drop it back down. But head over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads. $1 a month. It's great. And that's just the little plug from the Nintendo does that we like to do.
For sure.
So Frosticles, again, dropping with the awesome questions as usual, has hit us with an Animal Crossing based question. Now that we've repeated a couple of events, what is keeping you in the game? Because I've gone from doing my daily tasks, selling fossils, getting DIYs, see if Gulliver's there, to just logging in once or twice a week. I just have other things to play, and there's nothing at the moment that's drawing me to the game. Also, are you guys remembering to get your Nook points? So that's another reminder when you're listening to this.
Yeah.
Go for the Nook points.
I wouldn't have gotten Nook points yesterday if it wasn't for Frosticles. I'm not going to lie.
I'll set the alarm again, I promise.
There you go.
So, yeah, I mean, Nick, you play this a lot more than me, even still at 1,285 hours.
God,
played.
you always got to, like, update the hours, don't you? Don't.
Nick's
Is
numbers.
What keeps bringing you back, like, every day? Is it just because you still have projects in the go, or you just because it's something you do daily?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie. Somebody asked me, they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" I actually just got asked this question the other day, in real life, and they were like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm doing Nook Mile achievements, and I'm trying to finish up my KK slider music collection, and I need to get this golden shovel, and I want to get all of Sahara's rugs and carpets, and so." There's all those things, and they said, out of all that, they said, "Oh, getting all the Nook Mile achievements. Yeah, is that fun? Should I do that?" And I was like, "No, you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't.
Good call.
You should like let me just be real. You shouldn't do that. I don't know why I'm doing it. I just took it on as a thing to do because I thought, why not? And to be fair, I kind of took it on as a thing to do because it was like I would be in Frosticle's situation. I'd probably log on every day just to see if there was a character there that when I log on, I run past the thing. If Leaf's there, I'm like, yep, don't care. Okay, keep going. I don't need to talk to him.
Right.
Today it was Gulliver. So I got the Nook phone just to see what he'll give me because I got my little second story pirate ship going on in the house. But those are literally, I just named, those are the projects. KK Slider, all the things, Sahara, and I'm doing this crazy Nook Mile achievement thing. And I'm really doing this in a way, like I'm not killing myself to get this. Like I log on, I'm now talking to all my animals one time that day, and I catch 25 bugs. Do you know what that means? That means I won't finish the bug achievement for like 3.5 months. And I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay with that. Like I would rather take 30 minutes a day than like sit there and totally kill myself and hate the game by the time. And trust me, when I finish like fishing or doing one of those things, I'm like, I'm done fishing. Like I don't need to fish for a good long time. But like it's just something fun to do. It keeps me involved in a game that I love, but it doesn't take that long to where I can't play other games that are coming up down the pike or whatever I'm trying to say. So that's what I'm doing. But if you're the thing I want to say is if you're only logging in once a week or 2 or 3 times, cool. You should play games how you want to play games. If Animal Crossing is not your thing anymore, I mean, that's fine. Play the game you want to play. That's the thing. Don't let Animal Crossing suck you into the point to where you hate the game. You're just logging in because you have to. I guess that would be my final thought on that. So I'm sorry, I'm rambling. You guys.
I'm the same as Jason. If I pick up the Switch, I'll make a point of going on to Animal Crossing. If I don't touch the Switch, could be a day, could be 2 days, depending on like work and life schedules. Sometimes it's been a week. Don't touch it, and then I don't go on. If something big comes up, obviously it's more draw to the game. But yeah, I mean, I always make a point when we do this to log on, see if there's anything like bizarre on the island. I did have. I was in the middle of I must have been in the middle of a conversation with the Nook twins in the shop when I shut the Switch down and then when I loaded the Switch back up, I was still mid conversation, and I got the dialogue prompt from them saying, "Oh, as nice as it is to be chatting to you, we're now like closed, we're out of hours," and then it like chucked me straight back outside, and I was like, "Oh, I've not seen that yet." So.
And then it skipped you forward like 2 days, basically.
Yeah. Got outside and then it was the new day. So that was interesting because it was like, I've not seen that dialogue box yet.
That's funny. I can just imagine Timmy and Tommy are like passed out of like hunger and dehydration. He's like, I wish this guy would just leave.
He won't leave.
Yeah, it's one of those games. It's one of those games where, like, I see my cousin sometimes on Instagram. She'll like have a day where, because she's a teacher, so obviously she needs a lot of downtime. I'll see like she'll put something up on her Instagram story that she's like just chilled with a blanket with a cat, and she's playing like Animal Crossing while she's watching something on TV. So I assume that's quite a lot of people do that. That it's the go-to for. I've got nothing else to do. I'm like switching off for a while. I'll go into the second world that I've created for myself and just zone out. So.
Right. Yeah. For me, it's nice to have a constant, like it's nice to have that kind of little pocket that I can pop into 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour a day, and just sort of do my daily chores and like talk to my villagers who I love, obviously. And every now and then I'll kind of get like a wild hair to do a project. I just recently finally kind of figured out what I wanted to do with my main beach, because for the longest time it's just been kind of nothing. And I kind of set up like a beach shop, like a scuba rental and surfboard rental and stuff like that. So I set that up, and I'm working on my photos, like I said, for those 2 problem villagers. but I think too, and you touched on this a little bit, Nick, but I think it's really important, and I've talked about this before on our show, where it's like, when did video games become like a weird, and I'm totally guilty of this, especially as content creators. Video games it doesn't need to be like a second job to play games,
right.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm totally guilty of this myself, and I think some people kind of get wrapped up in like, oh, like I need to be playing this game X amount of hours or X amount of time, and it's like, no, you don't. You just need to have fun. Yep. It's video games, Yep. So if all you're doing is playing Animal Crossing once, twice a week, then great. As long as you're having a good time when you play, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's 100%. In fact, that's Christmas, because that was so daunting and so much like a job. I've said this numerous times. That was the time they almost lost me. Like I got that feeling that I've gotten in other games that I've played a lot when I've dropped out, and I said, nope, this is a job and I'm done. And man, I was close at Christmas, let me tell you. So
yeah. So easy to fall into that, and like I said, I do it all the time, especially as a content creator. You feel you have that FOMO, you feel like you need to be there, you need to be part of the conversation, you need to do this, you need to do that. And it's just, at the end of the day, it's you got to kind of think about it and just, it's video games. It's for the love of the game. It's for fun, do what you want, play what you want to play.
Sure. 100%. Anything else on Frosco's question?
That was a good question, and I think it's a very apparent question for the game at the moment. So
yes,
there's a lot of players who've been playing from the beginning that are wondering the same thing, for sure.
Yeah, it's good to have 3 different perspectives on it, because there's Nick, who's the diehard, that's still playing it like a lot compared to others, and then there's me, it's on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, and then yourself, Seth, that kind of, you've got things that you're doing, but you're not making a massive point of having to like really push for it.
I mean, it's nice to pop in and kind of do but it means different things to different people, and I think that's one of the things that's so great about the game. I mean, there are going to be people who want to chase down all those Nook Mile achievements, and you could put as much time or as little time as you want, and and it's all great. If you like it, I love it.
Mm-hmm. That's great. If you like it, I love it. That is a great way to end that segment right there. All right, well, let's move on to our gaming topic. right. Well, this week we had an indie direct. And so I feel it's only right for me to just say real quick one more time. I always said at the top of the show, but Seth was right. Seth was right. Justin put something out about maybe there's going to be an indie direct. And Seth was like, here you go. And I was like, don't egg on Justin, blah, blah, blah. It's not, he'll say it next week too. And Justin was wrong, but Seth was right. That's the most important part.
I gotta say, Justin and I kind of take a little bit of the business Justin role, as it were, on our show. I'm the guy. I'm into numbers too, and I'm into analysis and stuff like this too. So the indie world happening just made too much sense, and I had been saying it for a little while as well. So it made sense, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was the right time.
It did to everybody, even Nintendo. No, that's cool. You guys really did nail it. So we're just going to go through some of the games, actually quite a few here that we're somewhat interested in, and hit on them real quick, and then kind of give our thoughts on the direct. These aren't in any. I'll tell you what order these are in, since I'm the one that wrote it. They're in the order that Nintendo put them in on their little poster. Their little Twitter poster they posted. So they're not. This is not how they came out in the direct or anything like that. That probably would have made a lot more sense. But well, Nintendo didn't put them on their poster that way, so that's not how they ended up. So we're going to start actually what ended up being the one more thing, the finale of this whole deal, and that is Oxenfree 2, Lost Signals, I believe it was called. Coming out in 2021. Did you play the first one, Seth?
I did. I love the first Oxenfree. It's really, really good. And I've actually talked to those guys before, not on our cast, but I went to PAX one time and had the pleasure of speaking with some of the Night School Studio folks. And like that team is made of a lot of ex-Telltale developers. Okay. And so it's got a lot of that kind of like, it's very narrative heavy. They've got a really unique dialogue system in the first Oxenfree that I cannot believe more people have not stolen. Really cool game. I've really loved the first one. So this was low key one of the more exciting announcements of the show for me.
So I put my name next to this. I will say I have not played Oxenfree, the first one, but I have downloaded it now, which is good for that's I'm sure what they wanted. They got me there. So I've downloaded that, and I remember when it came out, I was interested in it, but I just never got around to it. So. But I want to kind of catch up on it, and so I'm gonna get that done and give this a go and see what it's all about.
So my disclaimer to everybody is I did not watch the Indie Direct. The only games that I've seen are ones that Nick has potentially said that I'd be interested in. So as we go down this list, I am literally looking at them on YouTube. Very quick, like, does the gameplay look nice? So my thoughts on this is that it looks quite interesting, just without any audio. The video announcement trailer that I've just watched, it's like, what's that about? Why is that little dial pop up? And so it's possibly one that I might actually look at. I quite like the graphics. So
yeah. The first game kind of has this Goonies, Stranger Things kind of vibe. And it's got this supernatural element to it where it's not really a spoiler because it's pretty integral to the gameplay, but you can kind of solve the puzzles and communicate with like spirits and stuff via this radio dial. So it's a pretty big mechanic of the game.
Cool. So the next one on the list that I put my name on is Hindsight. There's a lot of narrative games. This Indie Direct had a lot of narrative games. This is another one of those games. So to be fair, there's a piece of this game that looks interesting, but there are other narrative games on this. Like if they all came out close to the same time, I don't know that I'd get to this one. This one probably, it interested me, but it interested me the least out of all the narrative games. And so just to kind of bounce real quick to the one that pretty much interested me the most out of the narrative games, the next one on our list here, and Hindsight didn't have a date, by the way, either. So Oxenfree's coming out 2021, sometime 2021. The next one, though, narrative game that really had me interested, Road 96, coming out summer 2021. Man, first off, if you're doing a trailer, they nailed this trailer. Like, you got done with that trailer and I just understood what it was, or at least I understood enough of what it was that I was like, oh, I get this, and it looks so cool, and there's all these paths and there's all this stuff, and just, man, if you haven't seen the Road 96 trailer, you should go out on Nintendo's site and give it a peek, because it's a good one. What do you think of it, Seth?
Great trailer, because it totally nails that. Exactly what they're going for. It conveys it perfectly, because it looks like it's this first-person narrative adventure kind of game that has all these branching paths. I think they've said like potentially thousands of branching paths and outcomes for the story. And yeah, the trailer totally conveys like, I met this guy at a diner / campsite / whatever, like all these little permutations. Looks really cool. I'm definitely keeping my eye on this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it looks like you can. It's one of those games that you just play again and again and again.
Yeah, yeah.
That's something I'd be interested in. I'd literally just watch.
Yeah, so. I think Jesse really nailed this too. I was listening to the Nintendo Dads from last week, and he's right. Like, this game needs to only be like 5 hours, 7 hours long. Because any longer than that, and I'm not gonna want to like rewind and do it again and again and again and again. It needs to be like a short game that you can be like, oh, but what if I would have done this? Just like hit those, like, give me a bunch of those points to where I got to make decisions, and then let me go back and be like, but what if I would have done it like that and like that? If it's a 20-hour game, like Jesse has said, I'm not gonna go replay a 20-hour game,
Right.
So,
I like stuff like that. As a kid, I had a Super Mario book. And like you read like a chapter of the book, and you got to the end of the chapter, and you had to like make a decision. And so like you like, if you your two decisions would be like jump up onto the block or throw a fireball, and it'd be like you'd have to go to this page if you did this, and like, so the story kind of built how you. So I like stuff like that. So that Road 96 is definitely something I'd be picking up.
Yeah, so. This is like the modern version of a choose your own adventure book, like without a doubt. For sure. One that we are all interested in, I am sure. I mean we're all of the age. Shredder's Revenge, man. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It's the closest thing we've got to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that like Nintendo ever did back when I was a wee lad. So
yeah, this looks so good.
Can't wait, man. Yeah. We actually we were talking to Tribute Games a while ago to have them come on our show to talk about Panzer Paladin, and they were like, we're kind of busy, we're working on something, you'll see it soon. And then like a couple weeks later is when they revealed Shredder's Revenge, and I was like, oh man, this looks so good. Yeah. And when they announced it, they only announced it for consoles and PC. And now basically the purpose, because we still don't have like a hard release date, we just kind of know this year sometime, but it's so nice to finally have that confirmation that yes, indeed, it is coming to Switch.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited for this. The art style looks great. It just, I mean, I can't wait to feel how it plays, but just looking at it, it just feels like they nailed it. Like, man.
Yes. And they recently confirmed that T-Lopes from the Sonic Mania composer is doing the music. So it's going to have amazing music. It already looks amazing. I mean, this game's going to be amazing.
For sure. All right, next on the list, Never Yield. So there's a demo of this that we actually have played. This is the one we were talking about we were going to save till later. Seth, right. I'm interested. What did you think of the Never Yield? Well, first off, let me first say, a fellow Michigander made this game from Detroit. It's a futuristic Detroit game, auto runner style game. So Seth, what did you think of the demo?
I really don't want to be too mean about it. I don't want to beat it up because I really like the guy. Aerial Knight. He seems like a really nice guy.
He does, doesn't he? Like, you just want to like him. You just want to like have a beer with him. You do.
Yeah, he seems like a great guy. And then like our friend Tim from the Nintendo Dads is super excited about the game and whatnot. To be completely honest with you, though, I was not impressed with the demo. It didn't really do much for me because the game essentially is like an auto runner kind of experience, and it can be played really with one hand because all of the inputs are done just on either the D-pad or the face buttons, and it's all about timing them correctly to slow motion obstacles that it's almost like a really pretty version of Simon Says a little bit. And it's not, again, I don't want to dunk on it too much because I really like the visual presentation and I really love the music. I think the music is great.
Yes. If you made me pay for that game and gave me a digital copy of the music, I would buy it right away. First, like I just want the music. That music sounds so good to me.
It's killer. But I just like the actual gameplay. I just found so boring. And I know that on higher difficulties, the slow-mo is like removed and it's a little more difficult, but I still just wish there was a little more nuance to it. My co-host Eric made the point that it would have been really cool if they had considered making this a rhythm platformer. If they had actually timed your movements and the obstacles to the beat of the really good music, I think it would have been a little more successful. But that's just my take on it. I'm really happy that so many people are digging it, but it's just not my cup of tea. I got to be honest.
Yeah, I felt similar in the demo. I was really, I was close to rage quitting it until I figured out the color coding of the obstacles to the buttons. Why that's not in the beginning of the tutorial, I have no idea. But you have to figure it out on your own. That like if the color looks, I don't remember what colors were, but if it's purple, up is purple, and so I press because there's the two jumps that are somewhat similar. Like I can jump real high, or I can do this like kickback, like medium,
like a medium jump. Yeah.
And so I was always just kind of like guessing until I figured out, oh, these buttons match the obstacles, and that's what you got to do. So that didn't make any sense why they didn't explain that, but I liked it. But yeah, I was kind of with you. Like I was like, well, this is neat, but I'm not gonna play an entire game like this. So so I feel kind of bad. I feel kind of bad that the demo just didn't sit with me either. But man, give me that music. Just give me that music however you want to, and I'll take it. So.
Music's killer, and like I said, seems like a great guy. Like I'm really happy that because it sounds like he had like a really tumultuous time getting the game kind of on, up and running and stuff. So I'm really happy that it's being received well by the general public, and it's look, it's got top billing in an Indie World showcase and stuff like this. So good for him. He seems like a really, really nice guy. Yeah,
for sure. Sean, Ollie World up next. What'd you think of it, man?
Finally, a little bit of a skating game for the Switch. So, a little FYI, I absolutely adore skating games. I've played.
I do too.
Yeah, have you tried Skater XL in sessions?
I have not tried Skater XL. I'm really looking forward to when they bring over Pro Skater 1 and 2 to Switch eventually, whenever that's happening.
So, did you try the Skate franchise as well then?
Oh, yes. I love Skate.
So, Skater XL is like the EA Skate franchise, but with a little bit more control over the board. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah. So, like, with Skate, it was the right analog stick control the board, left analog stick control the person. Skater XL, both analog sticks control the board, so to do different things. Great set of games. Sessions as well, if you ever come across that one. That's even more control, even with, and they've added things like being able to dart catch and cast slides and stuff. So, but anyway, that's away from what we're talking about. But Ollie, side-scrolling skater game, lots of color, lots of like arcade style looking stuff. I play Skate City on my iPhone, which is part of the Apple Arcade, and this looks like it'll be something similar to that, but with a bit more quirkiness. So yeah, I'm looking forward. I literally didn't. I didn't watch this. Nick mentioned the game to me. I had a quick look.
because I was like, skating, Sean. Tell him now.
Yeah. So I've watched a couple of videos, and it's one I'll be picking up. It looks like it's an arcade style side scrolling skate game that looks like it could be a lot of fun. If they add challenges to it, that'd be even better. So like to do so many different things. So because I'm a big like challenge kind of guy, I like stuff like that. So
not gonna lie, when I saw it, I was like, huh. This reminds me of like a minecart level in Donkey Kong Country. Like it's just going and you can't stop it, and you just got to jump over stuff and make sure you hit the right rails at the right time. And I was like, I'm gonna see minecart all over this sucker. But yeah, that's cool. The next one I put my name on, Last Stop, comes out in July of 2021. That's probably it's my biggest worry about it because it's second in my list of these narrative. It's a narrative game out from Annapurna, which I think they did the Tell No Lies video game, which I thought was pretty cool. I haven't got through it. I'm like middle way through that game. But if it comes out on top of Road 96, that's going to be unfortunate for it, at least for me. Maybe, somebody else would really like it over that. But Road 96 comes out summer 2021. That comes out July 2021. Road 96 has top billing in the narrative games for me at the moment. So, but it does really interest me. Maybe more than anything because I kind of trust Annapurna as a developer. So I'd be interested to see more of what that has. Also, summer 2021, I'll be buying this game for sure. Next on the list, Kiwi you play as these little birds that are mailing that run a post office, it looks like. And I don't entirely get the gameplay mechanics, I'm not gonna lie to you, but anytime there's a couch co-op game, I'm a sucker. I'm gonna buy it. It's cute, my kids would love it. We'll play together. I'll yell and scream and we'll get frustrated, and then in the end we'll have a lot of fun. And that's just how these co-op things work, and I'm in for it. So I'm in for whatever the gameplay mechanics are in that, I'm in. So
I'm really charmed by the look of that game. I'm gonna wait for your report on it. If you say it's good, I'll pick it up.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, there's a lot of these. Like I've gotten a good example of one that's like, well, that's a game that maybe you want to Tools Up. Like that's, I don't know. Did you ever play that one?
No.
It's like a couch co-op game that is like, it's not bad. It's just not great either. And it's such a cluttered market too, So like,
sure.
You never know. It could end up like that. But these couch co-op games, I always get them just to give them a shot. The next one on the list, man, this one looks good. Aztec Forgotten Gods. You start us off, Seth.
Man, this looks great. It's got this kind of like it's made by a Mexican developer who made a game called Mulaka on Switch. I never played it, but I'm kind of interested to check it out. Yeah, I'm interested to check it out at this point. But yeah, so Aztec, and this is Aztec like TECH, like technical. Or technology. It looks like this kind of this mythological based like action exploration game. I was really impressed by just the art style of it. Mm-hmm. The way, I mean, assuming that we were seeing the Switch footage in the presentation, it looks like it runs really well on Switch. Mm-hmm. This looks like a ton of fun. I'm all over this.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like if you took the like Guardians from because it's got that old style like I don't want to offend anybody here, but I don't know about everybody say Mexican like lore, but it's like got these high tech futuristic creatures inside of it. So it really kind of reminded me of Breath of the Wild, where you have the Guardians, but they're So that was but I'm excited for that game, and that'll be a pickup for me for sure.
I love how many different cultures we saw on display here.
Yes.
During this indie world, because we had like that game The Longing, made by a German developer. Mm-hmm. This team is a Mexican developer making a game set with like Aztec lore and kind of Mesoamerican like archaeology and stuff like this. We had Road 96, I believe, is being made by a French team. So just a ton of different cultures on display.
Yeah, the indies are so good for that, right? Like,
Yeah.
it was a couple. It was a couple of indie directs ago. I think they came out with Raji,
Yes.
the Indian a game
I love
steeped
that
in
game.
Indian lore, which I have not gotten to yet, but it is on sale in this indie direct for like half off. So it is on my.
Worth it.
I think I'll probably purchase it and try to get through it. So yeah,
Worth it.
see if I can get that done. So you have played through that?
Oh yeah, we did an indie showcase on Raji, and we really enjoyed it quite a bit. It's kind of like this almost like the older Prince of Persia games, or like kind of got this like PS2 kind of era. Like if you have an itch for like kind of the old God of War games kind of thing, and it's really good. And again, like I learned so much about that culture.
That's so much fun
playing the game, and man, it was a really good time, and it's short. You could beat it in an afternoon, 5 hours probably.
Really?
You can get through it.
That makes me even more excited because I keep adding stuff to my list and that. So yeah, that's cool. Seth, tell me about Chris Tales. Everybody's into this game, and I actually just it passed by me, and then I looked on my Twitter, and everybody was like, Chris Tales, and I was like, oh, I must have missed something.
So so Chris Tales is one that actually Eric, my co-host, turned me on to, and there's a demo available for it on the eShop, and essentially it is a JRPG kind of by way. It's like a marriage of like JRPGs and like Paper Mario, which has not been a role-playing game properly in a little while. Right, but so it's got this kind of like 2D aesthetic and 3D environments, but the big gimmick, I guess, with Chris Tales is that the entire game plays with this like time mechanic where even in battle, you'll have kind of a past, present, and future element to the battlefield. So there will be scenarios where you can actually make the enemies younger, and now you're fighting like a younger, weaker version of them. Okay. They might have an iron shield that you can splash water on and then put them in the future, and it's now a rusted shield, things like that. So they play with that, and really, it sounds like really interesting scenarios. The art looks really good, and it's kind of one of these games that has been a long time coming. So now that it's coming July 20th, I'm kind of interested.
Yeah. So just as like a quick snapshot back, as well as Road 96 did to give itself like to show what it was, Chris Tales did just the opposite. Like I had no idea. In battle, these people were changing, and I was like, "What is going on? Like, why are these people changing?" And they didn't explain a time, at least not that I remember. And I've watched it twice now. Not that I remember at all, because I went through a second time to look at a lot of these just today, and I was like, "Yeah, I still don't get it. I don't understand it." And so, that's funny. Man, trailers are cool. so important, aren't they? When you can just if you nail it or if you don't, it can.
They really are.
Make a big difference.
And this felt like one of those announcements of like they just kind of worked it in there because it's a date that the fans of that game have been looking for a while.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So it seems like they didn't like necessarily put the trailer together to try to bring in new people, which is, like you say, it's probably a mistake to to go by that. But
yeah. That makes sense. Next one on the list that I put maybe, because this was in the like the hot reel of items coming. Beasts coming out in June. I don't know. This game could be cool. It could not. You definitely need to see a lot more. It looks like they're taking pictures of. It looks like a Pokemon Snap in a different kind of way. Except it's not. It doesn't look like it's on rails. But he's taking pictures of these animals in this environment. I don't know. It could be cool. I'm not going to, but that's about all I can say about it. It could be cool. There you go. And then there's Gitso Fumadin. Is that?
Yeah. Gitsu Fumadin, I think, is how it's pronounced.
Yeah, there you go. You got it all. You put it all together better than me. You're in on this one, huh, Seth?
It looks cool. It's kind of this like side-scrolling action RPG. This was what was really weird about this is I missed the memo when Konami was an independent developer.
Yeah.
Because this is a Konami game, and weirdly enough, it is not a. This version of the game is actually a follow-up to an old 1987 Famicom game that Konami made.
Really?
Yeah, so weird. And so they've like revived this series out of the clear blue sky, and It looks pretty cool. It reminds me of this game that I really liked back on Wii called Muramasa the Demon Blade. And I liked that game a lot. And this kind of gives me those vibes. So I definitely want to check it out.
Gotcha. Yeah. I don't think it's probably for me. I looked at it again today just to see, because I know I think it was Marty and Tim that were also all about it, and I was like, oh, maybe I missed something, but I don't feel like it. Don't feel like it's for me. Oh, you got another card game up there, don't you, Sean?
Yeah.
Tell us about Art of Rally.
So I looked at the announcement trailer, which I think they dropped as part of the direct. I just like the art style of it. What drew me in straight away is the fact that they had the Ali Quattro in the beginning of the video, which is one of my all-time favorite rally cars from like the 80s to 90s. It's just shell shaded, looks really happy, looks like it's going to be just one of those that you can just pick up, play, switch off. I like the drift style. It looks like so that's about as much as I've seen. Is what I looked at this morning. So I thought I would stick it in there right now, really quick. But I mean,
depending on the objectives of it, I could be interested. Like that's going to be like, what am I doing? That's what I did. That's what they didn't tell us. Yeah,
that's what from the gameplay trailer I've seen. It's literally just looks like you're either racing against time or you're collecting coins, or if there's a points mode for like clean drifts and not run like driving into objects and stuff like that. So
yeah,
who knows? But it's one of them that it's caught my attention, so I'll probably look for it as it comes out.
Keep on going, man. You're next.
Yeah, the next one, House of the Dead. And I mean, anybody that's ever been to an arcade will know this game. It's if we go out somewhere to like the coast or something and there's an arcade, it's one of them that I'm quite happy to stick some coins in and have a go with. So I mean, I used to play it on the PlayStation. You used to do like you could buy like the full setup, like Time Crisis style thing where you like, laser pistol and things. So I used to play like House of the Dead like that all the time. I think it was the same on the Dreamcast. Sorry, played it on the Dreamcast as well.
That's the one I played. I think it was House of the Dead 2 on Dreamcast was the one I played. Yeah.
I'd be interested to see if they use the Joy-Cons as like pistols, because if you could use the Joy-Con and drop it, like use the gyroscope in it to drop it to reload, bring it back up, use the triggers to shoot. I mean, they could even bring in the Labo.
That'd be cool.
Oh, that big gun that they had for the VR thing. That'd be pretty fun.
Because I've got that in the garage downstairs. It's the only Labo kit that I bought was the VR kit. So
that's funny because that's the only one I didn't buy.
This one's being done by Forever Entertainment, which is the studio that did the Panzer Dragoon remake. So they're quite familiar with these old kind of like Sega franchises, and it'd be they should have a pretty good handle on it. It looks really good.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be one that I don't play handheld. It'll be docked only, just because I think you're going to need the big screen for targeting. So.
Not a horror guy, but I'm happy that you got your House of Dead. So Seth, end the game reel with Fez. I have not played it, to be honest. I don't. I want to get to it at some point, maybe, but I haven't got to it.
It looks very cute.
Fez is so good. It is so good. It is like one of those classic indie games that it was one of the 3 games featured literally in Indie Game the Movie. So it's like a really kind of, I don't want to use the word legendary, but it's kind of one of the top, when you think about indie games, it is definitely one of the ones that come to mind. And I really didn't think we were going to see any movement in the Fez space, famously Phil Fish, the creator of Fez, he announced Fez 2 and then announced that he was retiring from game development and canceled Fez 2 promptly after. So for Fez to come to Switch is a pretty big shock. And it's a fantastic game though, man. If you like puzzle games, The soundtrack by Disaster Piece. I'm a huge music guy, and Disaster Piece is one of my favorite artists just in general. I love his work, and the soundtrack is phenomenal, like top 10 video game soundtrack for me. And it's a really, really great game. I'm so happy it's on Switch now.
Cool. I want to get to it. Like I said, I've never played it. I'm a GameScoop listener from IGN, and man, they chatted that game up forever a few years ago, and so I'm interested to give it a shout or to give it a try and see what I.
That's another one. It won't take you too long either. I mean, if you go for 100%, I could see it, but you could get through that game in a couple days. You know, if you had like a weekend, and you just wanted to do it in 6 to 8 hours, probably.
There you go. All right, I got 3 games on my list from Indie Direct.
Yeah, I like the 8-bit look. And
I love the art. Yeah.
It goes from side scrolling to 3D twisting to
Right. That's basically the plot of the game is this world where everybody thinks it's 2D, but then the main character finds this kind of like glitch in the system almost where he knows that it's really a 3D world. So the puzzles are all about perspective shifting from 2D and 3D.
Well, all right, that wraps up our Indie Direct. Really quick, let's just before you send us out, Sean, let's give a grade to this Indie Direct. Just if you had to grade it, what do you think it is? Seth, why don't you start us off?
That's a really good question. I think I would give it like a B- because. And the reason why is because coming into this Indie Direct, I was really expecting some of these like megaton video games, like these indie games that we know are supposed to be coming soon. Things like Axiom Verge 2, Braid, the 2 Spelunky games which are supposed to be coming to Switch this summer. I was really, really thinking that we were going to get some kind of touchstone. I mean, Axiom Verge 2 in particular, the developer Tom Happ, he recently reconfirmed a spring 2021 date for that game, and it wasn't here.
Right,
so just seemed weird, it seemed like there's a lot of really cool things, but nothing, like with the exception of things like Oxenfree 2 is a huge announcement. Fez being shadow dropped is huge, but like there's some really notable omissions. I was happy for what we had, but I was surprised to see what we didn't have,
Yep. Sean, looking at the game list, I know you didn't get to the Direct, but looking at the game list, what do you think?
I'm excited for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Ollie Ollie World, something like that to play. Hey, dude.
We have a visitor. Is Logan
hey.
here?
You can come say hi.
Hey, Logan.
Hey.
You say hi.
I'm digging the Mario shirt.
Yeah.
He's always got a cool Mario shirt. For those,
awesome.
For our listeners, Logan has joined. Sean's son has joined the cast.
Bear with me 1 second.
It's become a cast of 4.
So, yeah, don't press that.
Oh, and he's out.
And he's muted. Yeah.
No, I don't think he's muted. I think he tried to. Yeah, for the games that are there that I'm interested in, I'm quite excited. Look
at them.
Just quickly stuck you onto the.
I would give it a C+. I thought it was good. I think I always get worried in an Indie Direct when the games get real far out for exactly the reason you mentioned, Seth, because it's like, well, now it's like, I don't know, there's so many games that have been on an Indie Direct that we don't see. So it's like, I really am hesitant to think of how many of these games are actually going to hit the mark that they say, and how many of them are going to get added to the pile of games that you that you currently are talking. Next year you'll be like, well, where's that game that we saw on that Indie Direct? And it's just like they just keep getting added. And I do feel like Nintendo says, hey, do you have a game for us? And they say yes, and Nintendo puts it out. And then if they don't hit that mark, Nintendo's like, we're not coming back to you, like this.
Right.
We're not going to say, wait, that game is still coming. Nope. Nintendo's like, we got other games to mention and to hit, and you either hit your mark or you don't. And I think that's how that seems how they view it.
Yeah, that's a great point, because they, it's like, hey, I can set the table, you can choose to come to dinner or whatever, but we're like, we can eat without you.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, Nintendo's like, we've set this up for you to give you that spotlight, and if you make your date, great, and if you don't, we're not going to come back. We got
other games.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, not that we won't see it, but you won't see it again. I mean, very seldom do you see another title, the same title, get mentioned twice in an Indie Direct. It seems like.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, Sean, you got to feed a kid here, it looks like. So why don't you send us out? Or have Logan do it, whatever. You can have Logan send us
he's
out.
Definitely going to try and help. Big thank you, Seth, for coming on and joining us.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much.
This is how long we've gone. It's like we started this at like 5 o'clock in the morning. It's now 7:15. So this has gone for quite a while. It's a small child dinner.
Logan's the one that tells us when it's time to leave. He's like, listen,
all right,
guys,
need to
wrap this up.
Look.
As always, Dad Crossing is part of the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts. You can find new Nintendo Dad content wherever podcasts can be found. Same to be said with the All In podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach out to us at Twitter and Instagram. Everything is at Ender Crossing. We want to give the Nintendo Dads a big thanks for making this creating this happen. So from myself, Nick, and our guest, Seth, I hope your island is sunny and your villagers are happy. You can say bye.
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 Now we'll go back.
Bye.